Sean? No, towards here.
No, he stays right there.
Oh, there, okay, okay. I'd like to read the Masonic record roll of Brother Lawrence Harvey Simon. Born May 4th, 1933. He was initiated an apprentice December 8th, 1971. Passed the degree of Fellowcraft December 29th, 1971. Raised the sublime degree of a Master Mason March 8th, 1972. Passed from labor to eternal rest November 15th, 2018.
We assembled today in accordance with the ancient custom of our fraternity and in the spirit of friendship and affection to pay our respects to him who dwelt a brother among us. It matters not now to our brother whether 2 or 3 gather to conduct this service or whether hundreds convene with hushed voice and quiet step, for he has gone to fulfill the destiny of our race. Our ceremony is simple and without personal eulogy. We bow humbly to God's will, and we trust in him who in his infinite wisdom will recall each of us when our journey through this temporal life is in his judgment completed. Let us use these few moments to revere God. Let us, in addition, use them to remind ourselves and those that gather with us that death is the end insofar as we are incapable thereafter of fulfilling our earthly duties of love and friendship, compassion and charity. Death is in reality a beginning. Those that precede us to these final resting place lay aside the burdens of mortal existence, and unburdened by mundane cares, they have only pleasant memories to sustain them. We who shared in these memories may take them now and wrap them about us as a cloak of warmth against the chill wind. In the peaceful harbor above, our departed will enjoy a reunion with loved ones and friends and know at last the serenity of eternity. And having beheld the mysteries of the great hereafter, they are able to prepare the way so that we, the living, can rest with the assurance that we will not enter immortal life alone and unguided. Secure then in the comforting thought that our parting from these with whom we have privilege to enjoy life is only temporary. Let us make good use of the time allotted on us earth to perpetuate the tenets of our great fraternity: brotherly love, relief, and truth. Strengthened by accomplishing these duties, we are charged to inculcate to our steadfast practice of the 4 cardinal virtues: temperance, fortitude, prudence, and justice. We not only honor those who lived and died before us, we also give meaning to our lives and impart heritage to those who have yet to know the glory of birth. This service which we conduct today is not of bitter grief, but of faith, not of despair, but of hope. By performing these rites, we signify only that we bid farewell to the vestment our brother wore on earth, and with humility we wish Godspeed to his immortal spirit. My brethren, let us pray. Most glorious and merciful God, author of all good and giver of every perfect gift, the silver cord is loosed and the golden bowl is broken. As our brother walks through the valley, we pray that the lamp of thy love will dispel the gloom. Having completed the designs which thou hast inscribed upon his trestle board, may we now gain entrance to that celestial lodge above and be found worthy of fellowship with the good. We beseech thee to revere our thoughts and our prayers to him, and may he be permitted to worship thee in the shelter of thy divine presence forever and ever. Amen.
So mote it be. The lambskin or white apron is an emblem of innocence and the badge of a Mason. It is ancient and an honorable symbol. Its color denotes purity. It teaches a rectitude of conduct and reminds us to aspire to nobler deeds, higher thoughts, and greater achievements. This emblem is being worn by our deceased brother. We are thus reminded of the universal domination of death. The arm of friendship cannot interpose to prevent his coming. The wealth of the world cannot change our destiny, nor will the innocence of youth or the charm of beauty propitiate his purpose. Thus will return to the earth as it was, as the spirit shall return to God who gave it. The evergreen is an emblem of our faith in the immortality of the soul. By this we are reminded of our high and glorious destiny beyond the world of shadows, and that there dwells within our tabernacle of clay an imperishable, immortal spirit over which the grave has no dominion and death no power.
My brethren, let us pray. Gracious Father, vouchsafe unto us, we pray thee, thy divine assistance to redeem our misspent time, and in the discharge of the duties thou hast assigned to us in the erection of our moral and spiritual edifice, may we have wisdom on high to direct us, strength commensurate with our task to support us, and the beauty of holiness to render all our deeds acceptable in thy sight. And at last, when our work on earth is done, may we obtain the blessed and everlasting rest in that spiritual house, not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. And now may the blessing of heaven rest upon us and upon all mankind, and may brotherly love prevail, and every moral and social virtue cement and strengthen us. Amen.
So more to be. This concludes the Masonic service for our late brother, Lawrence Simon. May his spirit abide with God forever.
So I feel like I stand here not as an officiant, not as the rabbi, but as a friend of the family. I've been blessed in so many different ways to know the Berkowitzes and the Simons and other friends and relatives of this great group of people. And I think that just looking in the audience, their friends and their family brings a huge cross-section of Cleveland. So I think that it's not just the families who are mourning the loss of Larry, but a lot of different people in Cleveland who are connected one way or another with each other. So it's an honor to be here to honor this great man, our beloved Larry Simon. And I don't want to speak more about myself, but I can't help but say how I met him. He was one of those guys who talks to everybody. He schmoozes about this or that. It's not hard to start a conversation with him and find something you have in common with him. He's one of those people you just feel very comfortable with. And one of those people who's excellent at Jewish geography. The conversation doesn't go for a minute or two before he tries to find out who you know that he knows and how you can make a common connection with each other. And I think that's a real thread in his family. His family are real people that love the people of this world and watch out for them and take care of them. And I think he was just one of those guys who's just a simple guy, quote unquote. But to be a simple guy is not so simple. You still have to work hard in the background. You still have to take great care for your family. You have to still do the right thing, but it looks all so simple on the outside, just to be a simple guy, but it's not. So we're here today to honor a simple guy named Larry Simon. We're going to start with a selection of Tehillim, of the Psalms, the 23rd Psalm. Mizra David, Adonai roi lo eksar, Bino steshech yarbitzeni, al mei menuchos yenachaleni. Nafshi shovev yancheni v'magli tzedek leman shemo, gam ki elech begeit salmavas, lo yirara ki ata imadi. Shiftecha umishantecha, hema yenachamuni. Tarach lefanai shulchan neged sarai, tishante v'shemen roshi, kosi ravaya, akto v'chesed yirdefuni, kol yemei chayai, V'shavte beveis Adonai la'arach yamim. A Psalm of David. God is my shepherd, I shall not lack. In lush meadows he lays me down, beside tranquil waters he leads me. He restores my soul. He leads me on paths of justice for his name's sake. Though I walk in the valley overshadowed by death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in view of my torments. You anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life. I shall dwell in the house of the Lord for many long days. We also read Psalm 131. Shir amalos mimamakim kerasicha Adonai. Adonai shema v'koli tiaz lecha kashuvos lekol tachanunoi. Ima v'nois tishmarya Adonai miyamod. Ki imcha haslicha leman tivere. Kivisi Adonai kivisa nashi v'lidvaro hochalti. Nashi l'Adonai meshamrim laboiker yoshamrim laboiker. Yachel Yisrael el Adonai ki im Adonai achesed v'harbe imoi fedus v'hu yifteis Yisrael mikol avonaisav. A song of ascents from the depths I have called you, O Lord. My Lord, hear my voice. May your ears be attentive to the sound of my pleas. If you preserve iniquities, O God, who could survive? For with you is forgiveness, that you may be feared. I put confidence in God. My soul puts confidence, and I hope for his word. I yearn for my Lord among those longing for the dawn, those longing for the dawn. Let Israel hope for God, for with God is kindness, and with him is abundant redemption. And he shall redeem all of Israel from all of their difficulties. There's a lot to share about this simple guy, and there's no one better to share his life than his own children. And so I call upon Craig and I call upon Andy, who are going to now say a few words.
Good afternoon. My name is Craig. I'm Larry's oldest son, and of course, probably everybody in here knows my little brother, not so little, Andy. Over the past week, We all knew that it was coming. And my other brother Brian and Andy and I started exchanging emails, kind of putting our thoughts together. And I started on Tuesday and kept writing and writing on the plane coming here. And there is so much to talk about. I don't want to bore you, but I want to give you the highlights. One of the first things I want to say is that over my years as an attorney, I've given hundreds and hundreds of opening statements, closing arguments, but there is nothing as difficult as this speech to you today. Very difficult. However, I feel it's my job to tell you little things about Larry, about our father, about my mom's husband, that some of you may not know, many of you know. It is said that you judge a man by the life he has led, his family, and his friends. While looking out here today, Mom, Larry was a very, very wealthy man. We all know, and it's funny, the rabbi called him Simple. That was a nickname, Simple Simon, that my mom used to say to us from time to time. Little background about Dad. His grandfather, Ziskin, was born in Russia and married there. He was a bricklayer. He had 2 sons. His wife died, and then he came over. One of the interesting things was his original last name was Ambush, and our cousin Elliot brought that to Dad's attention. Nobody knew that for years and years, and we still don't know the exact origin of that. What we do know was either to avoid the Russian army or to have safe passage to America. He came to Cleveland, remarried, and had 4 more sons. One of them was Nate, that was Larry's dad, and they started in the fish business in the 40s. Nate got married to Jenny in 1930. In the early 40s, Jenny was making herring in the basement of their apartment in Cleveland. From there, Nate would peddle the herring, and from there, it became Simon Foods. Dad graduated from Heights High School, and I know he's got friends here. Cliff's one of them. They graduated high school together. It's so great to see so many of those friends and the memories. Dad then met Mom while he was going to Western Reserve University. Unfortunately, he was unable to graduate. Nate got sick, and he went into the family business. From there, he got married to Mom, 62 years. I tell you, that's a testament to both of them. Dad enduring, Mom enduring. It was back and forth. Let's leave it at that, but let's just say, I, as a family law attorney, I see more and more marriages fail, and this one had the strength to endure, 62 years to the end. There are 3 things that we can say about our dad, about Marcia's husband. Came up with this: family, work, and cars. Family, he was very, very into his family, very, very proud of his family. He was proud of everything we did. He was proud of everything our children did. He was always celebrating that. That was extremely important to him. Larry was a workaholic. When he started with his business, his dad's business, he's working 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. As a kid, I remember him waking me up to go to work. He just opened the bedroom door, I'd pop up, and we were off to work at 5 in the morning. And he'd work to 6 o'clock at night. It wasn't until years later that he dialed it down, and he was only working 5 days a week from 5 in the morning till 6 at night. He worked hard. He made sacrifices. He made sacrifices so all 3 of us could go to college. He made sacrifices so all 3 of us could participate in sports. Dad was not a sports person, to say the least. He couldn't play catch with us. He couldn't play football with us, but we had great neighbors. Billy Gross, may he rest in peace. He was one of the athletes. His wife is here today, Marlene. Thank you. Billy used to teach us. We'd play basketball. We'd play baseball in the backyard, football. Billy would throw the bat. But Dad would always be there when we were participating in baseball, when we were participating in football, soccer, wrestling, whatever it was. He was there. One great memory was I was playing Little League Baseball, Quarry Park in South Euclid. I think I was 9 or 10 years old. And admittedly, I wasn't one of the better players, but I tried. And I got called out on the 3rd strike. So all of a sudden, I hear somebody arguing with the umpire. It was Dad, and the umpire turns to him and says, "Do you think you could do a better job?" And sure enough, my dad said, "Yep," and there he went, right down behind the plate, put on the chest protector, the face mask, and he called the game. Now, mind you, he had no clue what he was doing, but he did it. That was the way Dad was. Some of the things that Brian shared, Brian recalls going to the Cleveland Arena back in the day to watch the Cleveland Barons games. Dad would take us to sporting events. I remember as a kid, they had season tickets back when Jim Brown played. But of course, we never got to go. Mom always got to go. It's the way it was. Remember going to Public Hall, taking road trips to Marion to visit Mom's parents, to going to Niagara Falls. We went to Washington, D.C. It was always enjoyable. We never took exotic vacations, but it didn't matter. It was about those trips in the station wagon that made all the difference. And then we started to grow up, and when Brian and I went to Arizona, we begged, and finally Mom would come out a couple times. They came out for graduations. It was such an honor. I felt nothing better than to graduate college and Dad to be there for that, for Mom to be there for that. That was very important. And other memories, working in the family business. One of my other most memorable things, when I was 16, and I'd just been driving a month or two, Dad says, come on, pulls one of the trucks out onto 83rd Street and says, come on, you're driving. It was a 3 on the tree. I had never driven a stick. Took me around the block. We drove down to Woodland Avenue, around the block, back, said, back it in, loads the truck, and said, you're on your way. And I learned to drive. That was trial by air. Just drop you in. That's the way Dad was. So many great memories, packing pit bulls, the horseradish business. His work ethic was impeccable. And that's what he instilled upon me, instilled upon Andy, Brian. It's passed on to the next generation, my son Josh. We all have that amazing work ethic, and that's what Dad was about. The other thing about Dad was about the cars, and I'm sure all of you know about that. And what's interesting, I would talk to Dad probably 2 to 3 times a week. I would call him, or he'd call my office, and we got to chat, and I loved that. It might only be 5 minutes. Hey, Dad, what's going on? Nothing. What are you watching? It's a car auction, or he's watching The Price is Right, or whatever. But it was just nice sharing that time. And one thing he shared with me, back when he was in high school, him and Marty Liston was one of his good friends. Dad bought a 1951 Jaguar fixed-head coupe. I never heard of it. I was a big car guy. I had to Google it, looked it up, and I was like, wow, that is a cool car. He said, yeah, me and Marty used to cruise around the streets of Cleveland back then. And then from there, when Dad got married, Mom, they took their trip. He had a 57 DeSoto. It was pink and white. Another great memory, when Dad bought his first collector car, this was about 1963 or 64. Believe it or not, I can vividly remember it. We drove Mom's purple Plymouth wagon to Wauseon, Ohio, picked up a 1925 Studebaker, and towed it back. And that probably sat in our garage for 10 years as Dad would tinker with it. And from there, it went, and he had so many cars, Ramblers, Packards, Dodges, Buicks. Towards the end of his life, he was into Buicks. And when he died, he had several Buicks. And he still got to enjoy that until maybe the last year. Fortunately, our cousin Elliot would take him to cruise-ins. And Dad would drive his LeSabre or the Electra, and Andy would always be concerned about, oh my gosh, Dad's going to get in an accident. He's too old to be driving that big car, but knock on wood, Dad always did it. The other things that Dad enjoyed towards the end of life was the JCC Men's Club. He loved going there. Cliff Sobel would pick him up. Phil Lipton would pick him up, and they would take him. He also had his Talmud studies. He'd go there on Tuesday and study that. And then, of course, importantly, was Thursday lunch with his Romeo group. And that stood for Retired Old Men Eating Out. And Dad loved that. Of course, he loved his food. We all know that. He enjoyed that, and that's fine. You know, those are some of the amazing things. I feel like it's an honor and privilege that my brothers, my mom wanted me to speak on behalf of my dad, because he was a great man. I so respected him. He taught us a lot. And unfortunately, you know, I chose a different path, but my little brother Andy, I consider very lucky, because he got to work side by side with Mom and Dad in the business. I know at times it was very tough, and it was trying, putting up with them, but you know what? Those are memories that we will never forget. Good or bad, they are memories, and that's what's important. And I know all of you touched our lives as we were sitting there in the room today and seeing people. It was pretty amazing. It's been 40 years since I've lived in Ohio, but the family, the friends, it's amazing. That's just a testament to who Larry Simon was. Yes, he was a simple man, but he was a loving man. And the one thing that I will never forget, I never, ever heard somebody say a bad word about Larry. They always respected him. He was always there. If somebody needed to borrow a truck, they needed help. He was there Sunday mornings, the men's club at Heights Temple, to set up, to cook the pancakes. He was there. And the last thing I remember is his bowling team, the Simon Foods bowling team. You know, and I was commenting to Randy Gross, whose father, Billy, they bowled forever together. And Billy is probably the best bowler on the team. And what I remember is he'd always give my dad a hard time, because my dad was probably an average to above average bowler. And every once in a while, Dad would come through. So Randy said, yep, they're upstairs now, they're bowling together. And I just wish him the best. Thank you all. Amen.
Hey, thank you. Welcome all. To reiterate on a couple of points Craig made, I'll never forget the time when Dad was coaching third base for one of the Little League teams at Bexley Park. And I don't know who it was, hit a home run, and as he was rounding third, my dad gave him a little pat on the behind. Well, lo and behold, you're not allowed to assist the runner. Okay, with that, the umpire called him out. My dad had one of his famous temper tantrums, and with that, he was expelled from Bexley Park. I didn't know that was possible, but yes, they threw my father out of Bexley Park. Okay, so, and then mentioning the cars, I remember growing up riding in the Memorial Day Parade in University Heights and in Mayfield Heights, riding in the Studebaker with the Auga horn. And we'd throw candy out the windows to the kids, and, you know, it was really exciting. As a kid, being able, in a parade, you know, and everyone's like, honk the horn, honk the horn. So Dad, auga, auga. Okay, that was few. And I enjoyed cruising with him in his later years in our cars. We'd meet up at Solon. That was our connection. And as Craig mentioned, I was the one that stayed back here to take care of things, work, and allow Mom and Dad to go on some extended vacations that they weren't able to take. And one of the things I remember working with Dad is when Grandma Jenny, his mom, passed away. Every morning before work, we would drive to Beth Am Community Temple for the morning minyan where he would say Kaddish. That went on every day for a year. And I can tell Dad now, unfortunately, there's no shul on my way to work at 4 o'clock in the morning down to Carnegie, but in my own way, I will continue to say Kaddish for you, in your memory, for a year. That will not stop, because you taught me that. Another thing he taught me was strength. Past 25 years were not good to Dad health-wise. From the heart attack he suffered at work, and thankfully I was there for him, but it just went downhill from there. But during all these medical conditions he faced, procedures, he never once, or I never once heard him complain or ask, why me? Well, during my medical issue the past 3 years, I've drawn upon that Simon strong strength. Never said, why me? I just kept plugging through the same way he did. So, through my medical travel, I've had the name Superman placed upon me for what I was able to do through this brain cancer. Well, we are here right now seeing true Superman. That was my father. He was a Superman. And Dad, today I'm wearing your Superman suit and tie. I wear it proudly and in your honor. I love you. Thank you. Good job.
I was warned that the Simon boys were good schmoozers, and I may not need to prepare too much for my own words. And so I'm so glad that the boys shared so much and shared so beautifully. And I don't think there's anything I could add or enhance to what they've said, to the most beautiful tribute possible that the ABC boys can make to their dad. But one thought that I had as they were speaking is that I don't know if Larry thought about this, but most people probably don't. But you just live your life in a normal way, and you don't realize how important how you live your life will be later on to your children. As Andy said most recently, Dad's courage and Dad's strength and Dad's not giving up. As he went through it, I don't think he thought that I have to be someone brave or heroic. I don't have to look like a Superman. I just got to be myself. And what ends up happening is that you just do your regular stuff, but your kids look at you as a super person, as a courageous person. And what you did in your own life, they put into their own lives and use that to give them strength to do things that they couldn't do before that seemed impossible. And I think it's so nice to look and see his children and his family and see all the things they exemplified. That's who they are in many different ways. But one thing that they didn't mention, which I thought is kind of cute, is the fact that as much as he got into a little trouble at Bexley Park, he can get himself kicked out of sports events, he could easily slip into another suit, which was that of a very comfortable synagogue usher, making sure that he sat in the synagogue and making sure everyone was happy and being especially polite to everyone as they came in. And I think, I started with the idea that as the rabbi visiting him in Montefiore, he was just so respectful and so good and caring. And I think that's one thing that he's definitely carried on in his life from his parents and his grandparents, the idea of respecting and taking care of the Jewish community that surrounds you. I know whether it was B'nai Yeshurun, Heights Temple, the Young People's Club, he was a very active member in many different ways. And then later on, when he went to Congregation Bethenu with Rabbi Rube, they didn't have a real synagogue. They didn't have a shul to pray in. So who was the guy who used to bring the Torahs between one place and another? Make sure the whole place was set up over there at Beechwood High School. It was him. And who was the person who got to figure out who would get all the aliyahs? An inherently very political job. Who you would honor and who you would not honor. And so there he was on the stage calling out to the gabbai, to the sexton, who should come up and who gets their aliyah at what particular time. And I know he told his family that it felt kind of funny to be up on the stage, to be up on the bima, like such a big macher. But I think that at the time, maybe he didn't realize that he had earned that position. He really earned the position of being someone up on stage with a rabbi who was a connection to the community that he was so part of. And throughout his business and his social, he always seemed to give a lot of deference to the Jewish community and the rabbis and make sure he took care of them. And he was very proud that he was a person who offered kosher food and Jewish foods, It's not so easy to get pickles and herring, just out of the blue. You have to have some crazy Jewish guy who keeps up an old tradition and doesn't get tired of the horseradish smell driving up his nose. He doesn't get upset that his fingers smell like pickles, even when he hasn't been making them in a while. It takes a real dedication to your community to be that. And a lot of rabbis, I know, acknowledge that and really appreciated who he was as a person. Rabbi Rosenthal, Rabbi Hecht, Rabbi Muskin, to name just a few. And his son mentioned the Talmud class. And Rabbi Moshe Stoll, a big rabbi with a nice big beard, might be a little intimidating, to say I want to join him up and learn Talmud with him. But that didn't faze Larry whatsoever. And I spoke to Rabbi Stoll yesterday, and he was regretful that he couldn't be here. He has to be out of town and say a few words on behalf of Larry. But I said, what was Larry like in your class? And he said, of course, he paid attention, and he obviously asked good questions. He really wanted to understand. But he said just 4 weeks ago, they were beginning a new tractate. And he asked Larry, and I guess Larry was not feeling well at that time. There were a lot of health issues. And in a kind way, he said to Larry, should I buy you another book? Do you think you're going to come to the class and continue? And Larry said to the rabbi, most definitely, please buy me another book, because I want to keep learning. And so I think that really says it all. In his last days, his last weeks of his life, he wanted to keep up with his traditions, what was important to him, and that was his courage and strength. So we say goodbye to a very simple guy, and we realize how much effort and how much energy it took to be so simple, and we offer him our thanks and our gratitude, our respect, and our love. And we should pray together that his memory should always be for a blessing. Following services today, we're going to go to Mount Olive Cemetery, which is where the interment will take place. And then following the interment, the family will be receiving people for the Shiva at the Village Clubhouse, 26,000 Village Lane in Beechwood. And that's going to be today, following services, until 8 p.m. Friends who wish to make a contribution, they can do so to the Peter D. Crystal Chair of Neurosurgical Oncology, care of Andrew Sloan, MD, University Hospitals of Cleveland. At this time, I ask everyone to please rise. We're going to say the memorial prayer, and that following the recitation of the memorial prayer, we will remain standing as the pallbearers come forth, and then the family will escort our beloved Larry behind him, and then the audience will follow in behind the family. El Malei Rachamim, Shaychein Bamrumim, Hamsei Menucha Nechaina, Al Kanfei Hashchina, Bemalos Kedoshim Utahirim, Kezarakia Mazirim, Es Nishmas, Leib Hirsch Ben Nasan, Shahalach Leilamo, Bavor Shanachnu Mispalim Bahaskaras Nishmaso, Began Eden Tehei Menuchaso, Lechein Bal Harachamim, Yastirecho Besesa Kanafav Leoilamim, Bitzor Betzor Chaim Es Nishmaso, Adonai Hu Nachlaso, V'yanuach al Mishkavo B'Shalom, V'Neumar Amen. O God, full of mercy, who dwells on high, grant proper rest on the wings of the divine presence, in the lofty levels of the holy and the pure ones who shine like the glow of the firmament. For the soul of our most beloved Larry Simon, Leib Hirsch, the son of Nathan, who has gone to his world and for whom people pray. May his resting place be in the Garden of Eden, and may the Master of Mercy shelter him in the shelter of his wings for all eternity, and may he bind his soul in the bonds of life. God is his heritage, and may he repose in peace on his resting place. And we say together, Amen. So if folks want to grab their coats and get themselves ready to go outside, we ask the pallbearers to come forward as we begin the escort out to the outside.